All righty. Hope everybody's having a good day today. We've got a really informative and I think a fun as well as informative interview today. We're joined by Mr. I should say, Staff Sergeant JJ Jensen. He did 2 tours as a door gunner with the illustrious 20th SOS, aka the Green Hornets. One of the, I think, actually the only unit that supported all three CNCs throughout their history, which is quite unique. We've got a lot of photos to show off. Everybody is always interested when I'm sharing Twitter photos with the Green Hornets and all their firepower. So we're going to get to speak to a door gunner today that was not only on some all around hairy recon missions, but he was on a extremely hairy recon mission where an airman, I should say a pilot, actually earned the Medal of Honor, where Mr. JJ and this pilot and crew chief and another pilot, a Peter pilot, earned and saved a recon team out of CCS. So we've got an action-packed show to start today, and I hope everyone can jump in, get active, and ask some questions because we don't have many guests like this all the time. So, Mr. JJ, after all that preamble introduction, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you're doing well.
Yep, I am.
Excellent. We're kind of just gonna get a kickoff here and kind of learn a little bit about you from the early days. And we always ask, besides where you were born and raised, did you have any family history of military service in your family?
Yes.
You did. Well, WW2, Korea, WW1, or
Korea, World War II, and World War One.
wow,
My
wow,
dad was a World War One veteran.
holy cow! Was he a Army veteran, Marine veteran, or
He was an Army veteran.
Army veteran? Jeez Louise, that to say the least, you definitely had it in your blood by the sounds of it.
Yeah, my brother was a Korean War veteran who was wounded on the Manchurian border of North Korea. I had a brother-in-law who was in the Aleutian Islands during the Korean War, monitoring Russian radio traffic.
Wow. That I mean that's now with that much history going on and your father being a veteran, and I know my father, no longer with us, was a Marine up in I Corps in '68. He didn't talk all that much about it. Did your family members, did your dad ever speak at all of the wars, or were they pretty tight and close to the vest?
Yes, my dad was very uh, never talked about the war.
And where? Well, I should, before I even start that, we'll get to that because we're going to be talking about your whole entrance into the military. But we find out a lot of the guys are quite active, both academically and sports. Were you a big sports guy growing up, or were you in the books more so growing up?
Oh no, I was a sports guy. I was a runner.
Oh,
I ran track and cross country.
whoa,
Those are
okay,
the two sports that I was involved in high school.
wow. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up on the south side of Lansing, Michigan. Had a relatively normal uh, uh, childhood and grew up with four or five different boys in the neighborhood about my age. Well, we'd get together and we'd do things that boys do. We'd go out in the woods and we'd play army, shoot each other in the ass with a BB gun. Just normal things that guys, little kids did.
Stuff that kids are missing out on today. You gotta get out and rough and tumble
Yeah, yeah.
as a boy.
Well, I remember watching old black and white TV, and one of the old war movies were on. Well, I saw the paratroopers jumping out of the back of the airplane, and boy, that gave me an idea. I went and got one of my mom's best sheets, tied a rope to each end, crawled up on the top of the garage, and jumped. And boy, I hit in a ball of dust, and I was crying. And the last thing I heard was my mom coming out the door, hollering, "You think that hurt?"
Oh, Lord have mercy. She was coming after you for
Yeah,
ruining that
she
sheet.
got after me.
You hadn't quite mastered that parachute landing fall from the sound
No,
of
no, I did not. I landed in a ball of dust.
it. No broken bones or anything, just a
No,
little
turn my ankle. That was about it.
mm. And then of course mom dealing out a little justice on the backside there.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure. um So, growing up, you're quite active. You're playing sports and all of that. When with school, are you beginning to become interested in the military since you've heard about it and seen stuff, or are you thinking about maybe going to college for schooling, or what's next in line for?
No, I was focused on the military. I mean, my Korean War brother talked about it, as well as my brother-in-law, who was in the Aleutian Islands. He talked about the war, and mostly my brother from the Korean War. I was very impressed by him.
It's the Korean War vets and the Vietnam vets. Well, the Vietnam as of late are getting their time that they are duly needed to show. You guys have deserved this recognition for a long time, but it still seems like the Korean War is that forgotten war, if you will, to
Yes,
where
yes,
the guys aren't covered and really given enough respect as they should, because that was a hell of a war. I know they even like to call it a police action, but if
no, it was a war.
yeah, that was you got the Chinese coming down and you're freezing. Literally, men are freezing to death in place. I mean, that's a war. You're in a war.
Yes. Well, I remember on my fifth birthday, I was 5 years old, and here comes some military guys up to the door, and I remember my ma dropping to her knees. They delivered a telegram that my brother Arnold had been blown up on a deuce and a half on the Manchurian border. He was in the hospital in Tokyo, Japan at that time, and recovered from his injuries and came home.
I was fixing to say, was the war done for him at that point in time?
The war was done for him, yes.
Wow, I know your mom was happy the war was over, but I can imagine she was very very worried with him being injured, and I can only imagine that feeling. You
Oh
maybe
yeah,
not at 5 years old grasping what it's like seeing the men carrying the telegram up there, not knowing if your brother's KIA or what have. So
right, right.
that's terrifying. In fact, We Were Soldiers has a great scene showing that and the just heartache that comes with that.
Yes,
Very glad to know that your brother did make it out though, and your mom didn't have to deal with that, and you didn't have to deal with that.
right, right.
You had mentioned seeing the Army and jumping and being enthralled with the paratroopers already. Where were you planning all along to maybe go with the Army? Where did your switch up in branch choice pop up?
No, that was my choice right out of high school. Uh, I spent the summer from June when we got out uh, partying until I turned 18 and went down to the Army recruiter and enlisted.
Wow. So you enlisted in the Army. What year was this?
1964.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's of course the advisor roles and all of that had been going on for a while, but by 64, 65, I guess it's actually reports from Vietnam are probably starting to come back on the news. Of course, nothing like 68, 67, 68 and the 70s would bring, but I imagine you had been hearing that something in Vietnam was going on by this time, hadn't you?
Oh yeah, I remember talking to the recruiter. He asked me if I wanted an overseas duty, what my choice would be, and I told him Vietnam. Yep.
I can't imagine what he must have said to that, thinking, this guy's already wanting to jump in there and get his boots dirty.
Oh yeah, he wrote that down quickly.
Oh, I can imagine an eager recruit at that point in time. They were taking it. So
Yeah.
where were you enlisted, and what goes on there? Are you going to Army basic training, or something happened between then that you get out of the Army?
Nope, I went through basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Okay.
I remember my company, E-14-4. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
And went through basic training. From there, I went to AIT at Fort Rucker, Alabama, for helicopter maintenance.
Wow.
So I learned about all kinds of helicopters. Of course, the Huey. They concentrated on the Huey. And from there, I went to Panama.
Panama.
And I was attached to the 193rd Infantry Brigade with the 71st Aviation Company in Panama.
Wow. I did not realize I know stuff was going on in the Dominican Republic and such. Was there something going on at that point in time down there, or was this a normal tour or going somewhere?
Well, I think the big thing was chasing Che Guevara.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Through the Darien Gap down in southern Panama. I guess they suspected he was in that area at one time, and
wow.
They sent troops down there to hunt him.
And inevitably got him pushed into Bolivia, where the boys took care of him.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there were, I think, I know one for absolute sure, but I think there were actually 2 SOG men that were on that mobile training team that were down there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. So, how long was how long was this tour or deployment to Panama?
I think I spent about 2 years in Panama.
Wow.
And then I came back to Fort Eustis, Virginia, and that's where I discharged from and went in the Air Force.
Oh.
Funny thing here, I had training on the helicopters. Well, there was talk about they were going to send helicopter units over to Vietnam, and I was terrified because I talked to guys that came back from Vietnam that were door gunners, and boy, they were a different breed.
Oh.
And I was kind of terrified. I thought, what the hell? I'm not sure I want to go over to Vietnam on helicopters. So my thought at that time was, well, the Air Force don't have any helicopters, so I'm going to join the Air Force because I like the military, I like the service. So poetic justice. I ended up on helicopters in the Air Force, the top secret helicopter unit of the Green Hornets, and I'll never forget that period of my life.
Not knowing or not thinking the Air Force having helicopters, that is wild. And then they're sure enough, you're sent to the real deal outfit of helicopter units.
Yeah. Poetic justice.
Absolutely, if there ever was any.
Yeah.
Were you immediately sent over to the 20th?
No, when I enlisted in the Air Force, I was sent to Luke Air Force Base in south of Phoenix, Arizona. And I served with the Western Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Center on the old HH-43 helicopters and flew on those for 8 months and then got orders to go to the 20th.
Wow.
You know, it's funny, there was our commander had just come back from the 20th, Colonel Mack. Had been in the 20th and came back to our unit there in Phoenix. Well, there seemed to be a competition between me and one of the other guys as to who was going to be chosen to go to the 20th. So, you know, that's the one. So, you know, that competition went on for 8 months. When I finally won out and was chosen by Colonel Mack to go to the 20th.
And I can imagine. Actually, I'd be curious to know, because I can't imagine how long had the 20th been standing up. Were they relatively new, or had they been in existence for a while?
Well, I think 1967 when they formed a unit in Vietnam.
Wow. Okay, so they were actually legitimately stood up and formed in Vietnam then.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that is very, very interesting. And I was just trying to find some of the.
Yes, I went straight to Nha Trang where the 20th was stationed at.
Wow. Okay. What years did you or what years? What year did you get over to Vietnam for your first tour?
1968.
Wow. Okay.
I went over in 1968 and served until actually September of 68 to September of 69, my first tour.
Years straight. Wow. And when you first get in country in '68, is there, and you get to the 20, first off, where was the 20th located at this time?
We were stationed at Nha Trang.
At Nha Trang. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any kind of in-country school or in-doc, shall we say, to get you ready, or were you immediately handed off to the unit and found your job and went to work?
That's about it. Started training almost immediately to be a door gunner. You know, after that training, my first trip to Bamituit, and started flying missions from there.
Wow. Okay. And we've heard from the SOG guys talking about here's the head shed guys at Bamituit. You can see they've got their Hornet on the door there. We've heard from the SOG gentlemen saying they of course were read out the, you know, you can't, the NDA, had to sign the NDA. Were the Green Hornets getting any kind of a briefing or classified briefing that y'all were having to sign NDAs or anything at that point in time?
Yes, we all had secret and top secret security clearances.
That's what I was curious about. I thought I remember RT and them saying, well, the Air Force is always on top of things, so I could definitely see y'all being read that out, and especially for what y'all are doing as a special operations helicopter squadron. So you had mentioned you were on a gun, well, I should say a slick, as opposed to the gunship with the rockets and the miniguns. What's that first like when you get on the compound or wherever you're going to be at, and you're chosen or taken to an aircraft, a bird, and you know, start getting ready, training, and getting ready for an operation?
Yep, I was put on a helicopter with another gunner who was experienced, and we just started flying missions from there.
And I can, with your training and everything, you guys were using, I'm assuming this is not a great picture because y'all had great mounts and all kinds of stuff, but y'all were using the M60s as opposed to the miniguns, correct?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. And could you tell us a little bit about, because the Green Hornets are both famous for not only the miniguns but also the door gunners, and you guys basically being able to get on top, the swivel mount on y'all's weapons, being able to almost stand outside of the aircraft and just rain from every direction. Can you kind of tell us what it was like first learning to operate the M60 and learning to shoot the Green Hornet way?
Yep. Well, of course, we trained with the M60 in the train before we went to the FOB and Bambi to it. Just not much to say. You pulled the trigger and that was it.
Were there any kind of modifications that that the Green Hornets did for their M60s or anything for easy flow? We saw the beanie weenie can on there. Did y'all do any kind of customization to y'all's weapon systems?
No, what was unique was our gun mounts.
Mm-hmm.
Our gun mounts, we were able to bring it up and down. We were able to go from side to side. We had a pretty nice control of the M60 on the slicks.
I wish any other time I'd be able to find it. One of the guys literally hanging out of the aircraft, firing, and I'm trying to look for it. But while we're talking about weapon systems, we see the great pilots, great photos of the pilots having their Car 15s or their M16s for on the terrible chance that y'all went down. You as a door gunner, besides the M60, what weapons not only to use against the NVA and the aircraft, did you have any weapons that you would carry for personal use if you went down?
Yes, the door gunners had, of course, M16s that we hung on the bulkhead at the back of the helicopter, so it would be handy for us to grab in case we needed them. And 38 caliber pistols, revolvers, and that's about all the weapons we had on the slick.
Wow. And what? How much ammunition are you guys carrying for your M60s?
Those are 200 round ammo cans. So there's 200 round in each of those, probably 800 rounds that we carried. The unique part about the 20th, we were not in a landing zone over 2 minutes. It was boom, in and out. We had it down to an art where we could go into an LZ and not be in that LZ for a long period of time. It was all about getting in there and getting out.
It's I've seen some pictures that some of the high birds have taken, and I've been trying to locate them, but it's a crazy, almost like a dance of y'all going in, dumping them, the high birds watching, and y'all literally, like you said, touch and go. I mean, the team's off and running, before you can blink your eye.
Yes, the gunships were flying figure eights over top of us. And, we were just doing our thing on the slicks. I preferred the slicks. I didn't like the gunships, not for the reason having to shoot anybody, but I liked the rescue.
Mm.
It was the rescue for me, why I liked the slicks as much as I did. It was all about the rescue.
And that was a good question that someone had posed earlier, asking, were you given the choice of going from slicks to either being a minigun or gunship door gunner?
Every once in a while, depending on what our aircraft was configured as, sometimes we did fly on gunships.
Okay.
But most of the time it was slicks. I did fly on the gunships. Although I didn't like to be on the gunships, but I did. I performed on the gunships as well. But the slicks was my thing.
Excellent. We don't get to talk to many people that ever operated one. What were your thoughts on the miniguns you guys had?
Oh, they were awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, if we had two triggers. The right hand was 2,000 rounds a minute. The left hand was 4,000 rounds a minute. Yep.
So it only took one thumb for each. You didn't have to double press.
No, you pulled the trigger for the 2,000 and then pulled the trigger for the 4,000.
Wow. So
Yep.
literally.
So you've got your two handles, both triggers going like hell.
Jeez Louise. And there are some great shots of the minigun guys hosing down the area. Guys, if you don't follow Jason, the MACV-SOG on X or mine, you can see numerous, and I'll probably bring some here up. But you had actually just mentioned rescues. Well, before we do that, because that's gonna be a really interesting one. How many when you first get into country, are you immediately flying SOG operations, inserting and extract SOG teams already?
Well, yeah, after we were trained, yes.
Okay. And with you already getting right in there after it, how many operations would you say was the normal day? Was there a set mission every day, or were you literally on call at all times for something?
On call at all times. And if we inserted a team, that was our team. We had to extract that team. So, we'd set strip alert in case they run into trouble. And if they did, we extracted them.
Now, we very few times, but we have heard of guys needing to be running into bad trouble and needing to be extracted at night. But a lot of units would not do that, and I know y'all did it several times, and I know you did it at least one time, because it's actually the operation is recorded in Colonel Lindsay's amazing Bible, almost, of CCS and Green Hornet history.
Yeah.
On the 25th of 1968, where you are extracting it's an unknown RT, but it's a CCS team.
Right.
How often were nighttime extractions?
That's the only one I ever did.
Wow.
And it was by McGuire rig.
Oh.
Yeah, we had to kick strings out of the door. I was flying with Gene Stufbergen, and we went in to make the pickup. We dropped the ropes down, and we got 3 guys, and we got them up. We didn't get them up high enough, and when we took off, we drug them through the trees. Well, fortunately, they were okay. The little bumps and bruises, that's all they got. But then the second helicopter came in and kicked out their ropes and picked up the rest of the guys that were on the ground. I think it was 4 other guys. That's a rope ladder. That's not a McGuire rig.
Yeah, one of the old Doney ladders. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Gosh, nighttime, and I think let me see here. I think Colonel Lindsay said Slick 1 with right gunner Paul JJ Jensen was first in and successful in locating and pulling 3 team members out. While Slick 1 was at work, the 2 other slicks remained at altitude holding patterns until the other teammates were located, and that's when Mr. Jess Rowland tossed out his ropes.
Yep.
Now, with it being nighttime, I can't imagine the pilots flying at nighttime and keeping their equilibrium okay. But how in the world, once you're able to fly okay and keep everything straight, how do y'all locate the team to where you can throw the bag or the ropes out?
Well, the team would had strobe lights,
Okay.
and we located them by strobe lights. Of course, if they popped a smoke, we couldn't see the smoke
Mm.
because it was too dark. Everything was black. I mean, we were totally blacked out, no lights at all, and we simply went by locating the strobe light that the team had.
That that's extremely hairy. Not only flying at just flying at night with no lights in the jungle, but then uh, going off the strobe light. That is just crazy. And no shots fired.
No,
Thank goodness. Wow.
yeah, the,
That's
the, the team had successfully E&E'd, and I guess lost the people that were tracking them, and that's when we made the extraction. It was the opportune time to do it while the team was ahead of them, and they found a very small clearing. Of course, we couldn't get down even low enough for rope ladders, so we had to use the McGuire rigs. And of course, locating them with the strobe light, we came in, dropped the rigs, got them on, pulled them up, and hauled ass.
Jeez, I can imagine that's exhilarating. Not only doing all of this at nighttime, but also the satisfaction of knowing you just dragged the boys out of a very bad situation.
Yes.
Wow. And are you guys going to go immediately to a launch site, or y'all going to go back to Bammy Toohey?
No, we went back to Duco, which was a small SF camp about a mile from the Cambodian border.
Mm.
That's where we set strip alert, and that's where we spent most of the day if we had teams in the field.
Man, yeah. I know a launch site. Chase Medic from CCS, and he worked at Quan Loy and a little bit at Duco, but a lot of time at Quan Loy.
Mhm.
And he said between the VC or NVA that would come over, he said that Quan Loy was always active with something going on, just always active.
All the time.
I can't imagine what that's like. I did find a great photo here of a slick with a recon team on it, heading out right here with one of the door gunners out on the struts, which scares me seeing. Did y'all use straps? Were y'all always tied in, or were y'all just hanging it out there loosey goosey?
Oh no, we had straps that hooked into the cargo ring in the door or in the floor, and of course we had it adjusted to where we could lean out and be able to stay on the skid that way. So it was pretty fun, actually fun to do that.
There are some really good shots of some guys doing some crazy stuff, walking up the skids and saying hello or kissing the pilot while they're flying. That one always scares the bejesus out of me, seeing a door gunner do that. While you're in the period of 68 here, and unfortunately, yep, let me make sure. Did you happen to ever cross paths with Jerry Shriver while you were at Bammy?
Oh yeah. The first mission I flew out of Bammy to it, Shriver's team was in the field doing a local training his mountain yards, and we had to. He called in for a water resupply, so we had to fill a bunch of canteens and coming out to the helicopter. Well, here come a guy with this damn dog, and it was his Shriver's dog. And I'm thinking, what the hell? The dog jumped up into the helicopter, and I'm terrified. I'm saying, how the hell am I going to keep this German Shepherd on this helicopter? Well, the pilot kind of snickered and turned around and looked at me, and he said, JJ, he said, that dog's got more flying time than you do. I said, okay. So we went out to resupply Shriver, got into a little LZ that they had cut out. Uh, Shriver came up and got the water, and Klaus, his dog, and started to head back. Well, Shriver held up his hand like, wait a minute. So I told the pilot, I said, wait a minute. He wants to tell me something. So Shriver came walking back up on my side of the helicopter. Like a dumbass, I cocked my helmet off my ear. He grabbed my head and stuck his tongue in my ear. I thought, what the hell? What the hell am I going to tell this pilot? And the pilot asked me, he says, well, what do you want? What did he say? I just said, well, he said, thank you.
That was well, a lot of the CCS guys in Special Forces, but specifically Jerry's way of saying thank you, I've been told.
Yes.
If you got a big tongue in the ear, that he thought you were good people. So
yeah,
that's a term of endearment right there.
Yes.
And that's funny knowing Klaus not scared to ride in the helicopter. Got and even said he's probably got more flight time than most guys here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And taking him to the field, that too takes the cake. That's pretty dadgum good right there.
Yeah.
So with 68 plugging along, you're getting in and doing some pretty heavy duty operations.
Yes.
How soon along until shall we say the big mish occurs with Captain, or I should say then Lieutenant Fleming and RT Chisel?
Okay. The night McGuire rig was the 25th going into the 26th at night. We got back to the launch site. There was a couple crew changes, and I was put on the bird with Fred Cook and Fleming, and Paul McClellan was the co-pilot. And the way that went down is there was a team in the field other than RT Chisel. Chisel was in the bush, and they had called for an extraction, the other team. Well, we all flew out there that made the extraction, flew back to Duco, and on the way back, the call came in from Chisel. They were in contact. They were in a dire situation. They were asking for his extraction. So we all turned around and went back out to where RT Chisel was. Everybody was low on fuel. Everybody. So, we, my bird particular, we went down. We found an LZ. The FAC found an LZ for us. Said, okay, we're going to get RT Chisel over to this LZ. You can make the extraction from there. So we flew down on the deck, actually on the river, flew up to that LZ and got shot out of it. I mean, bullets were flying everywhere. And what had happened is RT Chisel had got cut off by the NVA, so they couldn't get to that LZ. So they had to return to the small LZ that they had found on the riverbank. Well, we went up to about 1,500 feet and circled a few times. And Fleming specifically asked us if we wanted to try one more time. And we all said, yes, we're on board. So boom, down on the river again, firing all the way. Fred Cook and I were just going through can after can. we got up to the LZ and uh, put the skids on the riverbank. Freddie Cook is just lighting them up on his side. I'm lighting them up on my side. And the team started to get on and my gun jammed. Freddie Cook. yeah, yeah, my gun jammed. And so I thought, what the hell? I turned around to get my backup weapon, my M16 that was on the bulkhead, and it wasn't there. I said, what the hell? It had fell off at some point, and when the team got on, it was buried under rucksacks and equipment. There was no way I could get to my M16. So I have nothing. I thought, oh shit. About the only thing I can do is stand here on the skid, try to protect my crew and my team with my armor chest and ballistics helmet, and hope like hell I didn't get hit in the balls. So I'm just standing on the skid. Well, like I say, the extraction was quick. We backed out of there, and it dawned on me, hell, I got a pistol. So I drew my pistol, and I'm busting off rounds with my pistol until it was empty. And by that time, we were out of there.
Oh, I mean, there you are letting it all hang out with your pistol, your 38.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you said, I mean, they're right there. I mean, they're just firing up the area.
Yes.
Here is the painting is terrible. This is a copy of out of the book, the Tango 51, very hot area for CCS teams. But you can see door gunner here, teams running up, they're shooting, NVA in the background, another gunship up here laying it down.
Randy Harrison was in the bush right there.
Oh, that's Captain Randy Harrison right here.
Yes.
Wow. And I think this was he had just taken command of Recon Company.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, he wanted to go out with one of his teams to see how they did it. Well, he found out.
Boy, I mean, all kudos to him, but I mean, could you imagine your first time going to check out what these boys do, and you get caught up on a mission like this where a Medal of Honor is earned?
Yeah, Harrison, he was the last man to get on, and he was about 10 feet from the helicopter, turned around and shot 2 NVA soldiers that were right on his ass.
God,
it was that tight. It was that tight.
I mean, if it was that close and he turned around on 2, there's a chance with both of them they would have shot up the aircraft or done something. I mean, that's close quarters.
Exactly. They were so close. I remember right before the team got on, they blew a claymore, and I remember seeing a body part come tumbling down at the end of my rotor blades. I didn't know if it was a hip and a leg or an arm and a shoulder, but the guy was standing right on the claymore when they blew it.
Holy cow.
That's how close they were.
That is, I mean, you read it and you just try and put yourself, like you've seen a movie, and put yourself in this situation, but some of these things that you guys do, there's just no way you can do it unless you've been there or done that. I mean, that
right.
That is crazy. I mean, just there's no better word to describe it other than crazy.
Right.
Do y'all know immediately that the significance of this operation? Do y'all get back and are people saying, "Oh, we're writing you guys up," or is this big on the compound? Or
not a word was spoken. We didn't. There's Frank. Yeah, not a word was spoken. Nothing about medals. Nothing at all. That we just did our job.
Wow. You now let's see here if I've got it correctly. It looks like And CCS, the recon men, they did not get the awards they should have.
Oh
Sonny
no,
only got an Army Commendation Medal with Valor, and his 1-1 got an RCOM. Lieutenant Harrison got a Bronze Star. But all you guys, of course, Mr. Fleming got the Medal of Honor, earned the Medal of Honor, and it looks like there were a whole bunch of distinguished flying crosses earned that day amongst you men.
yes, yes.
I think I've got now. Is
Roy
this
Milton was shot down. The gunship, the gunship was shot down with Leroy and Reynolds.
I've
And, you
got
know, when that gunship was shot down, it only left one gunship and one slick, and that was Fleming and Gonzalez that was on the bird that was shot down. And then there was only one slick and one gunship left.
there's Speedy right there. I think, isn't it on the far left? I think.
I don't recognize any of those.
That's the problem. I've still got to get so many of y'all. I know the SOG guys' faces, but unfortunately, I'm still learning all of the aviators' faces.
Yeah, those were probably pilots.
And another thing, it's not the biggest, but it is a great Green Hornet resource. There's a lot of Vietnam and a lot of great photos. As a matter of fact, there's an entire chapter devoted, chapter 4, to Mr. Jim and JJ and the guys. But it also covers the 20th SOS and their reintroduction into the GWAT and the global war on I don't want to say the word because, of course, YouTube will get mad at me. But this is by Wayne Mutza. Wonderful book. A lot of the photos that I've got from this collection that I was given by RT is in this photo.
Yeah, hey, say the word.
Global war and terrorism.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's been a great resource. A lot of photos from Vietnam pop up, as I said, but a lot of really, and of course, all of the patches you guys used. But a lot of great, the Global War on Terror. I did not know that they were reactivated and brought in, and there is a lot of great stuff that the modern day Green Hornets were doing.
Right.
Even paying homage to you guys by carrying on, making stencils and leaving graffiti all over the places with Green Hornets everywhere. I love that, and I know y'all have to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So how long was this huge operation into your first tour?
How long was it?
How deep into your tour was it when this took place?
Oh, not very long. I got assigned to Vietnam in 1968 with the Green Hornets, and trained probably for the summer, and then the mission on the 26th of November was probably one of my first real missions.
Jeez.
Other than a McGuire rig the night before.
That is, I mean, you guys never cease to amaze me you were thrown into the frying pan
quickly.
Jeez Louise. Did you after you got back, did you figure out what was the issue with your gun? Was it just a normal jam that occurs, or did something catastrophic happen?
Yeah, it was probably something mechanical. I never, all of our M60s came from the air police. After they'd used them and wore them out, and those are the M60s that we got. So there was probably a mechanical failure in that gun.
That is crazy, giving you guys the the hand-me-down, shall we say, in the job.
That's exactly what they were.
There is a let's see, this is actually into 69, one of the other, and unfortunately SOG records were lost, including Green Hornet records lost when everything was burned. But we do have another mission in January 15, 16 of 1969. And sadly, records lost, not knowing what RT, but I do know the 1-0 and 1-1, Walter Llewellyn, also known as Bob, and then Mr. Trent Lancelot. I'm blanking on their team, but you actually again did a extract with them, and I'm thinking, you the aircraft commander was Jim Fleming again on that one.
Yes.
Did you were you crewed up once you got with a pilot? Were you pretty much with your pilot the whole time, or was it switched?
Yes, we basically stuck with the same pilots and the same aircraft.
Wow. So you guys got tight then.
Yeah, we did.
Wow. Almost, I like to compare. I know it sounds weird, but especially later in the years when you start seeing photos of the 20th guys on the compound or whatever, you almost can't tell them from the recon men, how they're dressed and the weapons and all of that. I like to say the 20th is SOG men of the air.
Yes. That's basically what we were.
It is, and the more you learn, the more you get amazed. Do you remember much about getting Mr. Llewellyn out? It looks like y'all were y'all inserted and extracted him from duck lap.
Yes.
What do you remember if they called if this was another bad? It looks like they were surrounded by an estimated platoon size element. It looks like.
Yes.
What was that like for you guys going in on a known hot extract?
Well, they had 2 wounded.
Oh.
Yeah, there were two guys wounded. We couldn't set down in the LZ that they were in. There were a lot of stumps, and we couldn't set all the way to the ground, so we had to throw out rope ladders. And they were all getting it. What one gunner said was that was it. What he said was true. If he said stop right, then you stop right. So what the gunner said was the word. So Combs was on the other gun, and he told me that they were all getting in on his side and getting the wounded in on his side. And I said, okay. So I was lighting some NVA up that were about my 4 o'clock position, and I felt a tug on my pant leg. And I thought, what the hell? I looked down and I saw a pith helmet and an NVA uniform, and I didn't know whether to shoot him or shit on him, but it was one of our guys. So, eventually he went over to the other side of the helicopter and got in on Combs' side. But yeah.
I in the heat of that, I thank goodness for your quick thinking, because I know many of people would have probably tried to pull a pistol or kick that what they thought was an NVA into shooting distance. Holy cow.
Well, I had my M60 almost on him before it dawned on him that this is one of our guys.
That's what I was always so nervous about reading and hearing. They always tried, if they were coming out of the brush, to have an American or to know, hey, these are our guys coming out. Did y'all ever have to set anything up? That I know y'all didn't have any choice with the hot extract, but was there ever like a sign or something to let y'all know that that these were your guys, or was it just a luck of the draw and you being able to ID that they were with you?
Yeah, ID. Just being able to, disseminate the difference between our guys and the NVA.
Boy. Wow.
We did a good job.
I was about to say, y'all did a really good job at that. And the crazy thing is, we always see the CCC teams and the CCN teams being famous for, because they have a lot more photos of the funny teams being in all NVA garb, but most of the CCS teams always had at least their point man dressed as NVA. So
Yes.
y'all face this on a regular. This was a common occurrence,
Yes.
having to judge if this was good or bad.
Yes.
Whew. Wowza. And very interesting enough, as I mentioned earlier, we were talking about a chase medic, and people don't know that. If you may not know, if y'all are new to SOG, but SOG, the slicks and the guys that inserted or extracted would try and have a SOG medic, a SOG trained special forces medic known as a chase medic for any casualties or any injuries on the extract. And I believe
that's what we had on that mission. We had a SFer. Nathaniel Johnson was his name.
Yes, sir.
He was a big black guy. He was a big man. But I saw him do some incredible things when we got those 2 wounded on the helicopter. I mean, like it looked like he had his finger in a hole in this one guy's chest, and he was wrapping a wound on the other guy. Doing 2 different things. Now, what the hell? But unfortunately, one of them died, and I'm not sure which one it was, and one of them lived.
Wow. I mean, those special forces trained medic, and especially in SOG, that those guys are that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, he did. He knew what the hell he was doing.
I hate that they were lost like that, but it's even with a loss, I've heard that from the SOG men, it's even when they took losses, it's always good getting everyone out, even if it's a loss, because the what it meant to the families of the Indige and the Montagnards as a whole is more than some people can understand and comprehend. It's very important that the Montagnards get their bodies back to their native or local village, to where they're not walking eternity, almost like our purgatory, if you will.
I love those people.
That was my next question.
I had a love for those people. They were very loyal to us. I mean, they would give their life to save your own, Yeah.
Little non-pay ceremony going on.
Non-pay jug, man. When I first did that, I took about 4 drags off that thing and couldn't hit myself in the ass with both hands. That stuff was potent.
Woo. We've definitely heard some tales of some guys falling out of the longhouses, coming out not knowing how drunk they were till they stood up. That's great. We love hearing you guys being so close to them because, like you said, I mean, we've heard of stories where they would lay on top of Americans, both in the helicopter or on the ground, making sure you guys wouldn't get hit.
Exactly. That's how loyal those people were. Unlike the Vietnamese that would run from you, the Montagnards would stand there and fight with you.
Gosh.
And give their life if they had to.
What a group of men. And I mean, some of them were teenagers. Not all of them were full-grown men at that point in time.
Oh, so. No, there were some really young guys. Man, what the hell?
Yeah.
But they knew the jungle.
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine had things gone a different way. And I'd heard a rumor from one of the SOG gentlemen saying that Full Row or one of the groups pledged, it's like, please take us with you, and we'll form a Montagnard National Guard. And could you imagine having several battalions full of SF trained Montagnards as a National Guard element? I mean,
yeah,
we did them so wrong. I should say the government did them so wrong. Y'all
exactly.
Did. The government did. Just terrible. Unfortunately, that's all I've got on your first tour, and we are getting to the hour mark. I don't want to hold you too long, but what what uh, what was it like ending that first tour? Was there any big hullabaloo? Did you extend in country? Did you go back home, or what was that like?
No, I came back home. I was stationed on the HH-43s again in Georgia, and I was there for probably a little less than a year, partying the whole time, nothing but partying. And after so many months, I thought, man, I got to go back, because I miss the camaraderie. I miss the mountain yard people. I miss that loyalty, and of course the adrenaline.
Oh,
I mean, I had a '66 GTO tri-power back then, and I mean, I drive that sucker 120 mile an hour just for the adrenaline. And I remember that after spending that year in Georgia, that hey, I've got to go back because I got to have the adrenaline.
wow! That's wild. And we've heard it from numerous other guys that tried to, go to a different group or try something different. Maybe go teach jump school or Halo military free fall, and they just have the call back and have to go back, like you said.
Yeah, couldn't readjust. I couldn't readjust to uh, the life in the squadron that I was in Georgia. I just couldn't readjust, and that's one of the reasons I went back to it. Hey, I can't adjust to what's going on here. Polished boots and polished brass, and I just had a hell of a time with that. So that's one of the biggest reasons I went back because I couldn't adjust.
Wow. It's so sad that it was like that at that time, and you guys, although I mean, some of you guys wanted to, but society almost forcing you guys back into it in a way.
Yes,
But
no decompression time.
yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I was talking to a WW2 vet years ago, talking about how y'all had it so rough going from being in the jungles, fighting and killing, and then 2.5 days, 3 days later, you're out of the bush with your family, watching TV, drinking a beer, trying to make normal of I'm in a city in my house, and while they were on the ship coming back, taking 2 months, 3 months, or whatever to decompress with their fellow brothers.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
wow, wow. So when you decide you're going back, is there any hullabaloo or issue with you getting back to the Green Hornets, or are you right back in?
Right back in.
Wow, wow. And is it a year or so has passed? Are there still some familiar faces around? Or are you coming
Oh
back
yeah.
to a whole new group of guys?
Oh no, it was party time when I got back because there was still a bunch of guys that I knew from my first tour that had went back as well. So here's a small group of guys of the old guard, and of course when one of our guys had come back, it was party time.
uh,
So
and
yeah, oh man, I love this picture. That's Jim Woodbury, Jesse Spruill, Ronnie Kiersmakers.
and is that you and is that your class A's right there?
No, that's me next to him. Yep,
Okay.
yep, that's me.
I've definitely heard that Woodbury name, and I have read a lot about him in Colonel Lindsay's book. He sounds like he was one heck of a guy.
Yeah, he was. Woody was a good guy.
Wow. Where was this? Is this the Hornets nest? Is this where y'all stay?
Yep, that was in the train.
Wow, I love that. The Special Operations Hornets nest. um, when you get back to the train, is there for a returning guy? I imagine everyone knows you're good to go and everything. Are you? Do you have to go meet a new pilot and hook up with somebody? Well, what's that process like getting back onto
Nope,
the aircraft?
nope. I was just assigned to an aircraft and another experienced gunner. Or I trained a lot of the new guys that came into the unit in my second tour. I trained guys on the slicks and the guns.
Wow.
Yep, I trained them.
Would would that training would that be around the training area, or would
Yeah,
y'all
yeah,
be?
yes. That'd be the free fire zone around the train.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. I did not know that, and I will start having to look into that more. Um,
I
when
remember, I remember one of the guys I was training. We called him Hawkeye. Well, Hawkeye was one of these guys that, man, we got down into an LD. You weren't supposed to fire your 60 on this training mission. Well, man, all of a sudden Hawkeye opens up, and I'm tapping him on the shoulder. Hawkeye, what are you doing, man? He said, I saw a VC over there. I said, okay. So we got back, and I automatically signed Hawkeye off as qualified because I knew he had pulled the trigger.
that's absolutely one. That's a great code name, also, or nickname,
Yeah,
Hawkeye. Vietnam nicknames, you guys, I swear, the best between the SOG guys' code names or nicknames and y'all's nicknames. Nothing better. I swear, just great stuff.
nothing better.
Um, since I've been talking, there's actually one question that just popped in, and now since we're in your second tour, this might apply a little bit as well. Kyle Smith was curious, Mr. John, what was your hardest day in Vietnam?
My hardest days
Hardest day, yes, sir.
when we lose somebody.
Mm, mm. And I can only imagine being a special operations group. Were there a lot of combat losses in your two tours with the Hornets?
Yeah, between our SF guys and the Green Hornets, we had our share of losses.
Wow. And I'm trying to see here when. Let me see.
January 3rd of '69 is one that pops out to my mind all the time.
What incident was that?
We lost Ronnie Zinga
Oh,
pinned
wow.
underneath the helicopter that crashed, burning to death.
Geez, I'm very sorry to hear that. That's we've heard a few terrible stories about rollovers with helicopters, and
Yeah,
none of them ended well, unfortunately. Oh
right,
God.
right.
Um, was what was the and I've always been curious about if teammates or there were teams or plans for when y'all were on the eventuality of a crash, um, y'all get all the weapons and strip everything. Was there, unless y'all had a SOG recon man, would the highest ranking officer take command if y'all were on the ground during a crash,
Yes,
like the pilot? He would.
yes, yes.
Yes.
The highest ranking officer, yes.
Wow.
Or if it was a SOG guy that was with us, he's the one that called the shots.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely let him start running things.
Yeah.
Um, no, Frank. I don't think you weren't early enough when Omega was around. When the Hornets were flying FOB2 missions, you were just CCS, weren't you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Frank, nope, he was a little bit after that when they were strictly CCS at that point in time. Um, Jake B was curious. Did you work with the 20th TAS out of Pleiku or another FAC squadron?
Fact?
FAC forward air controllers,
Yeah,
the Covey Riders and such.
yeah. Uh, they may have been out of Pleiku. I'm not sure where they were out of, but we had some good fact pilots.
I'm blanking. There's a great book. Maybe it's called Above the Treetops. No, that's Delta book. I'm blanking on it. Something about high flying war or something. There is they talk about that in that book, Jake, and I think it is the 20th or the 21st out of Pleiku um, that flies for them. Although they had several, like Mr. JJ said. Um, did he fly with any specific good luck charm or any pendant or anything that brought you luck? And what was your emergency loadout for the event of going down?
For luck, I always had my mountain yard bracelet.
Hmm.
You know, I always carried that one when I'd fly. Yep.
And did
The
you
guy,
have?
a lot of the mountain yard guys had Buddhas around their neck. They'd carry the chain with the Buddha around their neck. Yep.
And I've
The,
heard in
the
contact.
Cambodians, the Cambodians were notorious. Boy, when they get in a firefight, the Cambodians bite into that Buddha and give it hell. You know.
That always when I first started reading about special forces and SOG, and when guys would have Cambo troops, immediately they'd talk about it start happening, and he'd look over, and every one of them had their pendant in their mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because supposedly, I think in it, if you were killed or shot, if you got it in your mouth, you're immediately taken to Buddha, or maybe they thought that you couldn't be hit. I'm blanking on which one it
Now you
was.
immediately go to Buddha.
Okay, that's what I thought. Uh, that's great. Um, oh, we're joined by Mr. Terry today. He was Hatchet Forces at a CCC. Um, let's see here. With you being in your second tour, you mentioned, and I have a photo here that I was actually about to bring up, and I think this you mentioned being a trainer. I'm wondering if this is when you were doing some. Well, I thought you were in this photo. Never. Nope, you weren't. My bad. I was when I was looking for pilots. Mr. Milton's in there. Leroy. There we go.
Yeah, Leroy got in there.
Yeah. Mobile Training Team TDY 1970 Gunners. It's interesting. I didn't know y'all had TDYs as well. It's always a SOG term out here. During your second tour, were you still flying nonstop insert extracts, or you mentioned training? Were you starting to take over more of a role as an experienced older guy and training more, or
Yeah, yes, both, all the above.
all the above? Wow. Um, was there and we kind of hear with the recon men, hatchet force men, and other Mike force groups and such as that, that as you kind of get short in your time, you're kind of taken out of a more dangerous area. When you started getting low, were you taken out of the bird to train or do any desk work or anything, or are you literally flying until the day your tour is up and you get out of the bird?
I literally flew to the last day I was in Nam,
Holy cow.
and that was by my choice.
Wow. How many, and I know it's weird and strange to ask, and people didn't usually keep count, but did you have a rough estimate of how many operations you flew in your two tours?
No, I had over 500 combat hours.
Wow. That I can't imagine your air medal count with 500 hours of
11
flying.
air medals.
Yeah, okay. I was fixing to say you probably got so many you probably can only wear one and then have a bunch of clusters on there.
Yeah, I come out with 3 distinguished flying crosses and 11 air medals.
You earned the a DFC for the Medal of Honor operation. Did you pick up another DFC in your first tour, or was that your second tour earning those?
First tour,
All of them?
all of them.
Holy cow!
The records were lost on my second tour, and all my flight records and everything, they were lost. So I don't know how many combat hours I had in my second tour, but I would imagine they were quite a few.
Yeah, and that's
And
why.
I basically always flew on the medic ship.
I just can't imagine, not only for guys' health reasons, but VA, other help with VA, and then y'all's medals, and then for us historians, all of the stuff lost and that were either destroyed or by choice at the end of the war, or went down during the many plane crashes that occurred, that guys were moving records from the various FOBs. I sit back and think, my gosh, all the stuff that was lost.
Right.
With do you have any mission that from the second tour that stands out, that you remember that was particularly hair raising?
None like the first tour.
I was about to say it was probably hard to
I
beat
guess
that.
it just became normal for me.
Oh, I was fixing to say, for your first tour and one of your first missions to be that Medal of Honor mission, I can imagine things became quite normal after that regarding fire and intense combat. Oh my goodness. And 3 DFCs in your first tour. I mean, geez.
The
Wow.
last DFC was the 21st of April, 1969. RT level was on the ground, and they had walked up on a regimental sized North Vietnamese base, and they were pinned down on a riverbed or a creek bed that had gone dry, and they come to find out later on that it was an NVA hospital that they had come up on. The team had come up on. We spent all day trying to get them out. Woodbury was shot down. The Woody was shot down. The air crew hooked up with a team that was on the ground RT level. Johnny Strange was the team leader, and got hooked up with the team, and they fought for their lives to get out of there, because there were NVA kept coming and coming and coming, and we finally got them out with 3 Army Loaches. Another helicopter couldn't land in the LZ because of the shot down bird. So we had to call a mayday. Yeah, it's Johnny Strange.
The one and only.
Yeah, we had to call a mayday, and 3 Army Loaches out of Pleiku answered the call for the mayday. And it was funny because one of them said, "Well, give us the coordinates so we can get to you." The pilot gave him the coordinates, and the Loach pilot says, "Well, we can't go over there." So they ended up coming over there anyway, and thank God they did, because they managed to get 11 people off the ground and back to Duco.
That's the first time. Well, one of the few times I've heard of Loaches coming in to actually help y'all, especially it being Cambodia. I've always heard them just flat out deny to come help guys.
Right, right.
Wow. And I mean, do you know what unit they were from, or ever see them
No,
again, or
no,
do they help? And
yeah, no, and I've tried to find out, who flew those 3 Army Loaches, and I have never been able to locate them.
I need to see, and I'll end up finding after, because Mr. Johnny Strange is mentioned in Colonel Lindsay's book, and I'm gonna look and see because he's got 1 or 2 missions in there, and I'm gonna see if I can find if they've remembered the names listed in here, and if I can, and if it is, I will get it to you, because I would like to know where they were from as well, because we actually had a Loach pilot on that was flying in that neck of the woods around this time. So I'd like to know if we might can put 2 and 2 together on that.
That would be good.
Very much so. Very much so. Gosh, okay. We're coming up on the hour 20 mark, and guys, if y'all have any more questions, get them in, because we've gone over a little bit here. I was only going to keep Mr. JJ for about an hour, but we had some good stuff going on. I'll give y'all a minute to get a question in. What did you do? Did you immediately leave service after Vietnam, or did you stay with the Air Force for a while, or what were your plans after Vietnam?
I got out after my second tour.
Wow. Let me see here. I'm looking at this with. Is there any, and I've seen photos, and I'm not sure if this is for everybody, and I tried to find the photo of it. Is there some kind of crazy ceremony for when the Green Hornets leave, where they tie y'all to a tail boom and pour wine or liquor and put smoke grenades out on y'all?
Yeah, they hang you off the stinger and throw a smoke grenade underneath you, and then stand back and laugh as they watch you try to get the hell off that stinger. I mean, that thing run all the way down your pant leg. Half the guys end up just taking their pants off.
I have seen some absolutely crazy photos, and most of the ones I've seen, guys were using grape, the purple smoke, and it is just clouds of purple smoke just going all over the guy. Some of them, they've stripped the guy down to his skivvies and tied him to the stinger. And I was wondering if that was him getting a little punishment, or if that was a common occurrence for you guys leaving.
That was the common occurrence, and new guys coming in.
Oh, wow, that would be a welcome in process.
Well, that happened on my second tour. First time I went up to the FOB at Duck Lap. RT had organized a football game for us, all guys playing football. Well, playing football, and they told me to run out for a pass toward that one aircraft. So I run over there to try to catch a pass, and I'm looking, and here's a whole goddamn bunch of them coming at me. Both my team and their team. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? And boy, they nailed me, got me up on that stinger, and there I was.
Jeez Louise. Always.
I'll never forgive RT for that.
I was just fixing to say, RT, up to no good. Up to no good. I think I got a photo of you guys playing a little chess while waiting to go out on an op.
Yeah, that's RT, me, and Bump.
Tiger Stripe Booney.
That's Bump.
And yeah, wow, you've got your yard bracing. It looks like you've got some other
it was
tribal.
It was a headband that one of the mountain yards gave me as a token of friendship.
Wow.
And I wore that. Of course, I wore that all that beaded shit around my neck.
That I always love seeing you guys wearing, and the Special Forces guys with their Montagnard bracelets. I got one from a vet, and I've got put away, and I've got one from Save the Montagnard people framed that I've got put up. I made a little donation for them and the folks up in North Carolina.
Yep, I do that too.
Great organization. And guys, if y'all have not heard of the Save the Montagnard people, they've got a website, and great organization in North Carolina that cares for the Montagnard people that are here in the States. But all right, yeah, I'll keep dragging stuff on here. I know there's going to be a million stuff I needed or meant to ask you for as soon as we get off, but maybe if I get some questions up or get something else cooked up, we might can have you back for a part 2 if you'd ever be open to it. Let's see. All righty, guys, we are going to close it down. Mr. JJ, is there anything you would like to say as we close down for the day?
Nope. I'm open to a second.
Wow.
Yep, a second cast. Let's do it.
Excellent. I was hoping so, because I know now with all the names you've mentioned and several events, I'm going to start doing some investigating and talking to some of the Green Hornets, and maybe seeing if we can dig up some more mission stuff. And maybe after everybody watched this, I always end up getting great questions from people after they watch it. They didn't get to watch it live, so I'll start saving those, and we'll set up a part 2.
Yeah, very good. I'm open to it.
Excellent. Well, yeah, everybody's already saying we've got to have you back for part 2. I appreciate that, guys, and I know he does too. It was a great show today.
Yeah, you bet you.
Yeah, everybody's saying thank you. All righty. Well, you guys keeping eyes and ears peeled. After I do a little more research, I'll get in touch with Mr. JJ, and when he gets time on his hands and we get time on our hands, we'll set it up and get part 2 going. So without anything else to say, Mr. JJ, I greatly appreciate you joining us today. It means a lot, and we'll shut her down for the day. So have a good day, and God bless.
Yeah, God bless you.